Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
Today we'll be discussing Season 3, Episode 9, Undo It. But a few notes before we get started. First off, thanks to the folks at Fiction Addiction podcast for the commercial. And secondly, thank you to everybody for the comments and sharing the podcast. We appreciate all the love we get. And honestly, seeing the comments and seeing you guys passing along the podcast makes us both really happy. So it's always great. It's always really exciting. So thank you so much. Especially because, we're not on iTunes, so it's hard sometimes for people to hear us. So thank you. And with that, I almost don't want to ask you about the title this week because it's pretty self-explanatory, and I know we've got a recap too. So I'm not jumping the gun. I'm getting it all out at once. So you can decide about the title, but I feel like maybe it's self-explanatory. But do you have a Stefan recap or no?
I'm sorry. I don't have Stefan recap this week, you guys. It's just the standard. History keeps repeating itself when Wynonna has to make an impossible choice. Waverly and Nicole visit a jeweler, and a familiar face returns to purgatory. I really like that jeweler part. Anyway, the title for this episode comes from the Carrie Underwood song of the same name. First impression, I wasn't predicting a time loop in this episode, which maybe I should have, what with all of our wonky time stuff last season, but I thought this episode would have to do with regret.
Yeah, that would have been good. I wasn't really,
and I suppose it does kind of, but
it does. I wasn't really expecting the time loop either, and I enjoy a good time loop episode. I don't necessarily know that this was one that I would consider a good time loop episode as far as the actual time loop aspect of it, because it did get a little it was a lot of Wynonna getting killed and kind of really beat up emotionally and physically. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like one of those things where you're
not a fun time loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every episode, every time loop episode gets a little frustrating, but my frustration lied in the end when you had that really frustrating moment where Wynonna gave in just the right as she was being rescued.
Yeah.
So it was less of that and more of I feel frustrated like the characters are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have a note that is, this episode definitely reminded me of Life Serial in season 6 of Buffy without the happiness. When Jonathan gives Buffy that task that can't be solved and she has to keep wrestling the mummy hand, and that was, over and over. Well, given that wasn't the entire episode, it was just part of the episode. Yeah. But even that, had a lot of levity to it, and I feel what you're throwing down on that. Yeah. I do. I think it's one thing to be stuck in a time loop that is funny, and I think it's a little more emotionally taxing to be stuck in a time loop with a character you love, and it is not funny at all. Yeah. And this one was, there was not a lot of humor from the Doc and Wynonna side this episode. It mainly came from the supporting cast, which... Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And looking at it as a whole, yes, you do have that balance of comedy and drama kind of in the episode itself. But looking in the plot lines, there was very much an imbalance in that time loop plot line.
Yeah, it was
So,
very dark. Yeah. It was very dark.
I mean, hell, one of my favorite time loop episodes of TV is the Xena episode. Been there, done that in season 3. And I mean, they kill main characters like multiple times in that episode, but it still doesn't, and it's frustrating as all get out. But it's so well done, and they still do have that levity. So it's kind of like, I guess I compare everything to like that. I mean, Lost Girl had a really good time loop too.
Why am I blanking on the Lost Girl time loop?
It was season 4, the
Okay.
Yule episode. It starts with a car wash, Laura.
Oh my god. Look, don't revoke my lesbian card, okay? I don't know how that happened. Obviously, I need a Lost Girl rewatch. I'll fix it. Also, Anna Silk next episode. So excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your defense. Yes. That was a really good unintentional transition. In your defense,
exciting.
You probably would have remembered it had the car wash also been looped in, but sadly it was not.
God, that was a missed opportunity, wasn't it?
Yes, yes it was.
Although, they weren't trying to kill the fandom. One car wash scene was probably enough. 45 minutes of it may have been too much.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one. And you're stuck in this time loop, right? But you've got Doc as collateral. And Doc is not exactly stuck in the loop, right? Doc's situation is changing. Doc is continuously being buried. He's like the sand timer.
An hourglass.
That's exactly. That's what he is to the episode. His time is just slowly running out, and I think that adds to the urgency and the frustration, of the whole thing. Is he's just slowly getting he's slowly getting buried because he's just outside of it. So,
and I mean, he did reset. He reset when Wynonna freed him.
Yeah,
he reset then. I had this semi-terrible thought. I guess it was semi-terrible. But, okay, Doc's a vampire.
Right.
So how dire was his being buried alive?
I don't know. That's a really good question. There's a lot of stuff about, about vampires not having to breathe. It does come up on Buffy with Angel in season 2, I think. He, rescues the Scoobies from a basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll go in, because the gas is turned all the way up in the room. And he's like, it's not like I need the oxygen. So, that, gets addressed with him. I don't know if these vampires breathe. I kind of view breathing as something that they don't do or something that is optional to vampires.
Yeah.
Because lack of oxygen is not going to kill them, full stop. So
right. But it's kind of one of those things where it's it helps them maintain the, it helps them maintain the charade that they're humans, too.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah. So that would be cool to get that, brought up on the show. Yeah,
it would be. I don't see a lot of the vampire lore questions we have being addressed anytime soon, but...
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a rush for that. I think, because, they sort of... I think it's smart. I think it's smart not to answer all of those right away, because then you can sort of tailor Doc to be the vampire that you need going forward. Yeah. So I think they'll probably take their time fleshing him out.
Yeah. And I mean, we may never get those answers.
True, yeah. I guess it's not, of dire importance to know whether or not he breathes.
At least not, in
really.
canon, but maybe it's a list we make, and then just take them to Emily at a con and be like, hi, yes, I need you to answer
Tell us these things. We just want to know. There's no other,
I have so many lore
curious.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, I have so many lore questions, and watch as she, starts, I can't hit. It's no, it's about vampires. It's okay. Tell me about your vampire lore. But yeah, as I know, we kind of brushed over it a little bit, but yeah, Anna Silk was in the promo.
Yes.
And so we get Anna Silk who we've talked about the fact that she's
So
showing up this
excited.
season. Her character's name is Kevin, and she's going to be in the next episode, and I am very excited. The second she showed up, I was like, oh my god, it's Anna Silk! Because I would immediately, you immediately recognized her. And I was very excited. I am very excited.
Me too.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
And I can't.
I already want to keep her.
It's hard not to want to keep her.
I know. Her and Zoe Palmer. I want to keep them.
I mean,
and I want to keep Danny Kind now.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Danny Kind before.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
She's just so funny.
She really is. So I'm I was really happy to see her name in the credits. I was like, "Oh my god."
I missed it. I'm so thrilled with, Mercedes showing back up and everything. Basically anything she said in this episode was one of my favorite, quotes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was too busy live tweeting or what I was doing, but I completely missed her name showing up in the credits. So then when we saw her, I was like, ah.
That's great. Sometimes that's better. When you see the name in the credits, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm so glad nobody could see what I just did.
I saw it.
I meant other than you. I didn't mean you. Sorry, I just completely. That was a tangent I wasn't expecting. That was a little bit of a tangential thing that I wasn't expecting.
Fan favorites.
But yeah, I mean, this episode was a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you mentioned that you didn't have a lot of favorite moments like you normally do, and I think I kind of pushed it with mine. I have a lot of minor things and a lot of the editing and the lighting decisions, and then some of the directorial decisions this episode were really great.
Yeah, that spotlight scene with Wynonna and Bobo was beautiful.
Beautifully shot. Yeah. I mean, it's so good. I mean, we get that next spotlight. They're holding hand. It's such a beautiful scene there and just beautifully shot. And I liked the lighting changes to denote that we're in the hallucination still. They softened the scenes. They brightened them up. So I liked that. It was such a jarring, it also really helped to kind of, it was such a jarring difference between that and
put you into it.
Back home. Yeah. And the editing was really great. Some of the transitions were great this episode. Mm-hmm. Transitioning Wynonna opening the door to Nicole opening the Gardner mansion and stuff like that.
And things like how the camera would swing with her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If she was laying down because she had just died, right before she got up, the camera would actually follow her up into a sitting position. So you kind of took that movement with her. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of pans up with her and stuff like that. Yeah. And another one I liked was the first time she gets shot and goes down. So, yeah. And then get the transition to bring her right back up. That kind of I like a lot of those transitions. So I sometimes me, I get a little nerdy about some of that stuff. So I thought it was from a technical aspect, I think it was a really good episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we got some good shots.
Yeah. It was unique visually. The show has not shown us an episode like that yet. So that was it was very different. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot. And I mean also shout out to Melanie because she was so good this episode.
Yeah, she really was. It was a strong Doc and Wynonna episode. I was a little thrown at the start when, they had just, we left them and they had, just confronted Bolshar. Mm-hmm. And then, I guess, put their differences aside and decided to take a roll in the hay, quite literally. But I'm glad that was, not the case because, as we got deeper into the episode, and as things got more dire, it became clear that there's still a whole lot for these people that absolutely love each other, like there's still a lot that they have to work through. There's, hurt feelings on both sides, betrayed trust, etc. So I like that scene at the beginning was just, like that first fake out kind of thing. And I like that what the episode did instead was trap these two people together and put them in danger, make them fight for each other, and then, slowly kind of work through their differences that way.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was very jarring to have that barn scene in the beginning. It was like, wait, what happened here?
It's like, what? Yeah. Where'd Bullshar go?
Also, and the bit with Nicole knocking on the door was, like, still a little confusing in a way, because they were in the hallucination answering Nicole, who wasn't really there, so I guess you get a taste of how powerful Bullshar really is, since he worked her in, yeah. He either was able to have Wynonna and Doc answer while in that hallucination, like actually answer just from, or somehow got to Nicole without us realizing it enough to just kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I don't necessarily believe... Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that he, like, got to Nicole, but it was still kind of a weird, like, thing.
And there was some bleed through, like, that we saw at the end. Like, Wynonna's like, she's, like, digging at Doc's grave, and you can hear Waverly, like, screaming for her. So, sound at least was reaching her, I think. Yeah. So that would explain Nicole being able to be heard by them. And then I guess maybe it was just some sort of, maybe he lifted like a corner of the veil type thing to allow them to answer what they probably could hear in their state. I don't know what you call that. Trance.
Especially at that thing at the end, I think that, and like the scene at the beginning very much shows that, Bullshar was very much more in control than I think we thought. And it was very clear, like, Bobo tells them that, he hears and sees everything, and he amped it up in Wynonna's hallucination, sorry. Well, illusion works too. Yeah. He amps it up when he knows they get closer to finding her and Doc.
Yeah, sure.
And he also, Wynonna gave up Peacemaker not just after Bullshar made her hear Doc, and Doc's telling her, I'm fine, don't give in, but it was hearing Waverly yell her name, and not knowing that it wasn't Waverly in the grave, but Waverly rescuing her. That was a piece. So he pulled away, he lifted that veil, as you were saying, enough to just get that last little push to get her to do what he wanted.
He also bought himself time with Nicole, which I think is important to, call it. Just, it's good forethought on his part to allow Wynonna to answer enough to get Nicole to walk away and not go in there and find out that something is wrong. Yeah.
I mean, she should have known something was wrong. Those people do not lock doors.
Yeah, that's true. No one. Not a one. One thing that I'm not quite, something I'm not quite clear on is how Bobo was able to wake up. Like, he got, unless Bullshar just let him go. That's the only way that it makes sense to me. Because he got pulled from those, like, haunted murder shrubs, and woke up. But, like, extricating Doc and Wynonna was not enough to wake them up. So, I don't know what all that was about. Like, unless Bullshar just had what he wanted and then didn't care.
He might have let him go.
Yeah.
He might have also... There wasn't a lot of fight left in Bobo.
True.
Period.
Yeah. So he may not have been useful anymore.
Yeah, and just, I think, we don't necessarily know what woke Doc and Wynonna up. We don't know if it was Bullshar releasing them. We don't know if it was Jeremy, Nicole, and Waverly, like, kind of slapping them out of it.
Or the ring.
I was just going to say, we also don't know if Waverly touching Wynonna's cheek with her ring hand did it either.
True.
So
it does sort of seem like the perfect place to keep your heroine if you're trying to stir up an apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also,
Good
I
point.
mean, Bolshar did say he was a man of his word, and as far as we know, he has been. So
True.
It's one of those timing things where it's like, was it this, or was it, and it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe we had a combination, but yeah, asking the Bobo question is kind of, that's a good one, because it is kind of hard to get a good beat on that one, I think.
Yeah.
That,
I mean, Bobo almost makes it seem like maybe it was the ring, like, because he was right there in close, like, proximity to it. Maybe it touched him, like, at least it was, like, very near to him, but
she had the mitt on.
Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, she did.
So, and it's been Bolshar's ring, but apparently, according to Bobo, the ring belonged to Waverly's father.
It's Julian's! Yay!
Yeah, so that was interesting. And, I did have a thought that, we know Bolshar's a demon now, and it's like, maybe he didn't start as a demon. Maybe he was like, we have like maybe a fallen angel situation with Bolshar.
Could be.
Which would also follow the devil part of the tarot.
True. Oh, nice. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, so impromptu, I don't think anybody needs this. I don't know whether you're religious or not, gentle listeners, but the devil was an angel in God's service, and I think it's like vanity. It was mainly his sin. I'm pretty sure he compared himself to God in some mythologies. and other mythologies, he refused to bow to man and recognize man's holiness, which was somehow insulting to God, something like that. Anyway, so the devil was an angel, but now he's the devil because him and the big guy had a spat. So, really good point, Catherine. I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. Ooh, I hope you're right.
You know what's terrible? We have talked about how I am not a religious person. We have talked about how I don't Bible. And the only reason...
The only thing you have is Satan.
The only reason I was even able to pull that out. Any guesses why?
Lucifer.
Xena. Season 6 of Xena.
Okay.
Or season 5. I think it's season 5 or 6 of Xena. Yep.
Awesome. There you go.
So,
who
says
fun.
that TV can't teach you anything?
It's true. It's real.
So, kudos to any of our listeners who also knew that.
Because of Xena or Lucifer. Double points.
Oh, yes. Extra points for Xena, and go listen to my podcast.
Go listen.
Well, I mean, we should probably, kind of maybe talk about the tarot bit a little bit. And I know you added some stuff to your Bible section as well. So you want to kind of talk about that?
Sure. So this episode was a little bit for me to work through because it was sort of okay, how are you using the cards then?
Yeah.
How are you using them? You know what I mean? Wynonna says to Bolshar, you need the tower to get into the garden. Peacemaker is the tower. But I don't think she's right. I believe that those stairs to nowhere are the tower. They literally look like tower steps. Anyway.
That's fair.
And Bolshar already told us. He tells Wynonna, the tower protects the garden. So I'm thinking Bolshar needs Peacemaker to open the garden. And there could be some sort of a tarot interface here. If the tower is a physical tower, and the tower in tarot represents chaos, Bolshar having Peacemaker might mean we are in chaos. And perhaps that's the only way that the stairs to nowhere become a staircase to something, is if we're in chaos. and this is all a bit more fanciful, I guess, than my other tarot predictions thus far. But again, like, the show has to inform us how to read the cards or how they're using them. And I think the tarot depiction of the Tower could be as literal an interpretation as the Lover's card being used for the Garden of Eden, because there's a Garden of Eden on the Lover's card. So, yeah, like, and I mean, so far we all believe we're talking about a literal Garden of Eden. So I think we're talking about a literal tower. But for some reason, like, Bulshar can only access or use or raise the tower with Peacemaker in hand. And furthermore, Wynonna tells Waverly at the end that she didn't see the staircase to nowhere, and maybe the staircase can only be seen by the righteous. And I would be willing to bet that Bulshar might need Peacemaker for that purpose, to reveal those steps to him, like a Geiger counter or something, you know what I mean? Like, he can't find them any other way because he's not righteous. So I think that's a possibility too.
Yeah, that's a good point. We also, this isn't the first time Peacemaker's been a key to something either, you know. Bobo needed Peacemaker in the air to walk out of the triangle.
Yeah.
So that's not a first for us either. So the idea that, you know, to get through the barrier or something like that is you know, not not a hard one to grasp, you know. But I like that idea about him needing Peacemaker to see the stairs.
Yeah, and I think Jeremy kind of points us in that direction too. Earlier in the episode, like before Bulshar does, like, you know, Jeremy says that he thinks, earlier in the episode, Jeremy says that he thinks that the stairs have something to do with the garden. Yeah. And when I first heard that, I didn't agree with him, because I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would Jeremy specifically have such a strong sense of foreboding every time he looks at those or those stairs, if it's got something to do with the garden? But then, given what Bulshar tells us later, if the tower is protecting it, and we know the tower is a very negative image, a very negative thing, then it does make sense that anytime Jeremy gets around those steps, he would get really, you know, like, squirrely about it.
And he has also made comments about the steps, like when Robin started to go up them, it was like, those aren't for you.
Right.
So we've got that aspect of it as well. I don't know. It's a lot to think about. Thank you once again for your tarot drop.
You're welcome.
You're working so hard. You need a raise.
Thank you for your surprise devil. What a delight. I didn't even think about it.
You're welcome. Every so often I've got a good one.
I like that one. I like that a lot.
Thanks. Yeah, every so often. I surprise myself. They really, we keep saying it, they really took the tarot and kind of ran with it, and it's like, you don't know what to expect with what they're doing.
Yeah, well, you know, I think something I mentioned early on when we started dealing with tarot is that it's very easy to use tarot if you're going to stick with, like, the major arcana, and you're going to stick with face cards. The problem that not a problem, the reason that it's a little harder, I guess, to guess where they're going, it could be intentional, is because Kate gives you straightforward readings, and she gives you readings with major and minor arcana, right? So Kate kind of has been this force on the show the entire time, telling us, no, read the card. We are, you know, like, we are using tarot, like, you know. But whenever anybody else, like whenever Wynonna is reading her cards to somebody else, or whenever, you know, it comes up in conversation or whatever, it's only face cards, and more often than not, it's more about what is on the card. Like, Kate doesn't handle it that way, but the other characters do. So, without Kate in this episode, I think we have to use the cards as visual cues.
Which makes sense.
Which I also think is the easiest way to use tarot on a show, for real.
Yeah.
Because they're just so evocative, you know, and then you don't have to rely on your viewership to have a working knowledge of tarot, especially once you've, you know, like, your first episode without the mystic that you've had all season, you know.
Yeah. All valid points. Yeah, I know. We need Kate back. We need Kate to find out, you know, what's up with this stuff.
I need Kate back, and I want her to read my cards.
I don't know if that last bit will happen.
Probably not.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
Be pretty good.
But I think there's a lot of other things that would have to happen in order for that to happen.
You're right.
Not to squash your dreams. I don't try to do that in his podcast or ever. Sorry. Alrighty. And you had Bible notes too. So did you want to talk about those a little bit, or did you kind of were there other things you wanted to talk about before we got into your Bible notes as well?
Well, the Bible notes I kind of used for like ring speculation, because that's kind of what we were, you know, like sort of everything else kind of fit into tarot. So yeah. I gave and since the ring, for all intents and purposes, seems to be a holy relic, it just felt like it belonged there. But it does seem to have like quite a bit in common with Peacemaker. Mm-hmm. They both like Waverly's hand, like her whole hand was glowing orange when she like burned that, you know, Revenant's face off. They both destroy Revenants. I think we said this before, like, I think we both wonder whether or not the ring is Amylite, right? Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that. I also wonder if there's a vocal component to the ring. Like, did Waverly saying, like, you're still beautiful, Mercedes, play a part in the ring healing Mercedes? Or would that have happened one way or the other, like, after the ring touched her face?
That is a good point, because, you know, Waverly says something about, oh god, I wish I could remember the line, and I can't look it up really easily because Amazon doesn't have it. But right before she burns a Rev, she does say something about him getting burned or something like that. There was some sort of
it's like she's initiating a fight with him. Is basically, you know, like, it's very clear that there's going to be an altercation between them. I don't remember the exact quote either, but that's my point. Like, she throws her arm out first, and nothing happens. And then she, you know, like, actually says this stuff and grabs his face, and then and she even says, like, that she felt like her hand, like, didn't belong to her anymore. And I wonder if it was, you know, in the beginning there was the word, right? Yeah. So I wonder if it's got to be commanded to an extent. I wouldn't expect it to be entirely that way, but yeah, I don't know.
Or I mean, like, because I was thinking about it for like her burning the dude, but I didn't consider it with Mercedes. Like, I the second she touched her face with it, I was like, something's up. Yeah. Like, that's gonna come back. It was one of those things where it's like, I knew she was gonna heal her or something. Yeah. Because it was way too intentional and everything. But I didn't consider that her saying, like, calling Mercedes beautiful might have been, like, a trigger for it. Or it might have been, yeah, because, I mean, like, Peacemaker does it too. Peacemaker responds to commands. So.
When it wants to, but yeah.
And especially if it's the ring of an angel, you know, if it's the tool of an angel who had a certain job that he had to go around doing, and the ring, like, might have aided him in that job. Mm-hmm. And once again, kind of backs up my fallen angel bull shark thing. But the only thing that doesn't fit right there is it being her father's
actually, ring. Your theory that Bullshar is a fallen angel is the only explanation right now that I would entertain for explaining why Bullshar was able to wear the ring. Yeah. When it's destroying all of these demons, right? Mm-hmm. And then also why Peacemaker glows white.
I had a thought about Peacemaker glowing white. Okay. Because it glowed white for Bullshar both times. Mm-hmm. And I had the fallen angel thought thing. But I also was wondering if it glowed white because Bullshar was the creator of the original, that curse.
Could be, yeah. I before you said this fallen angel thing, that's what I was operating on.
Yeah.
That he couldn't be harmed by it because it was within his construct.
Yeah.
Essentially. That's what I was working with originally.
Yeah. Although he did point out that Peacemaker only sends to hell the revenants that Bolshar cursed. And we have watched Wynonna kill other demons with Peacemaker.
Truth.
So I'm wondering what, like, they don't go to hell like the Revenants do. Only the Revenants do. So I'm wondering kind of what's the deal with that. Like, is the Amylite, like, helpful for, killing demons? Or is it just the demons in the show aren't very powerful and can get killed by just normal means?
I think there's something about the Amylite.
I mean, it would have to be, but...
Yeah.
Like, you also look at, like, the Amylite hasn't worked on every evil being either. Because, I mean, we haven't really talked about the fact that Bolshar can get onto the homestead.
True.
And Jolene also came onto the homestead.
Yeah, she was in the barn for sure, yeah.
And she was in the house, yeah.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
I could see you, like, starting to be like,
You were like, no, this is right. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You got one last week, you don't get one this week. No, I'm just kidding.
You're right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions.
And I mean, it could be as simple as depending on your demon level, right? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't have an effect on you, or it's an effect that you can tolerate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to gauge, certainly.
Yeah. Also important, Waverly technically performed a miracle for Mercedes, which certainly gives her some angel clout, and at the very least it gives her a head start in becoming a Catholic saint, so that's pretty cool. I do wonder if the ring will stay with Waverly, if it will be like the key to the power that I'm sure is inside her, like her goodness, her righteousness manifest kind of a thing. I kind of hope she keeps it, though, personally. I kind of want her to keep it.
It would be kind of cool, and, it's funny, she's so worried about the people that it did hurt, but it's like it has, at this point, only hurt demons or, like, evil people. So she's so worried about, like, touching her loved ones. But she hasn't, like, she's only hurt evil characters. And I'm looking forward to seeing if she finds out what she did for Mercedes.
Yeah, me too.
Because, like, Mercedes isn't necessarily the type of person who would call up Waverly and be like, my face is fixed. She would, like, probably be the type of person who would take her money and leave purgatory. And be like, screw you, town, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, what reason does Mercedes have to stick around, really?
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
Not one bit.
That town took her face. Town gave it back, but it did take it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if I were her, I would skedaddle.
She only came back for her money. So that she could afford the facial reconstruction. That was so funny.
It was really good. She's kissing him. It was so funny.
But I did, like, wonder, I don't know why it took me this long to ask this question, but Mercedes has been alive this entire time and owning the Gardner house this entire time. Mm-hmm. So why the hell were the vamps able to use it?
Like, why could they get in?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a finer detail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there were, like, vampire squatters on Buffy, too. Like, you remember that big castle-y place that, that Angel and Drusilla and Spike and everybody occupied. Like, vampires sometimes do that. So I don't know if it's, like, a deal with, like, the house was not inhabited at the time. And the house knew it wasn't inhabited. So, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's like, if nobody has walked through that front door in 3 weeks, it's a vampire free-for-all. Which would really suck for snowbirds, if you think about it. Like, all our grandparents are, like, super at risk for just, like, coming home to a vampire one day.
I'm off to Florida for 6 months. Come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because in Buffy, I just assumed that they had, like, killed the owners and that it technically wasn't owned at the time, like... But yeah, it literally, like I said, it took me until this episode to really consider the usage of the Gardner Mansion. So, I don't know.
I'm willing to give it a pass on the grounds that nobody was there.
Yeah.
And nobody had been there for a while and the house was shut up. So maybe it's enough for... Maybe it's enough for Kate to just believe nobody's living there. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Or just giving it a pass because some other resident of Purgatory said, hey, come on in.
Yeah. Who knows?
Some rules are really lax when it comes to vampire. I just, like I said, it took me this long to ask that question, and it doesn't really bother me that much. It was just one of the, like, I'm not mad about it or anything. I'm not, like, it's not going to haunt me for days or whatever. It was just a random question that I wanted to ask it because it literally took me this long to actually think about it.
I think my big thing in the episode was, like, I did think it was a little funny that Wynonna had to die 50 times before thinking to bust up the floor and pull Doc out. Like, girl, come on. You know what I mean? Like, we couldn't have tried that first. Like, that was... That really got me.
She went into the barn for the crowbar. That was her whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so...
I feel better about that, because I was just like, come on!
Yeah, no, she couldn't get in, even though I guess I don't see why she couldn't necessarily have used any other item in the house. It's a hallucination. It should have been fine. Like, I'm pretty sure...
Crowbar would be ideal, though.
Yeah. Or, I mean, they probably should have had a fire poker, but...
She'd have had to... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's why she went to the barn in the first place, to get a crowbar.
Word. Okay, yeah. Well, that makes more sense. I'm at peace with it now.
Okay, good. Yeah, but she went in for the crowbar. So
okay,
that's why that, yeah. I'm glad you feel better about it.
Yeah, that was the only, I was just like, come on.
I can imagine now that must have been, like, unbelievably difficult to watch.
Yeah, when it finally happened, I was like, oh, thank God, but...
No, I got you. Yeah, that would have been terrible. Yeah. I would have been like, I would have thrown something at my TV if I was just thinking she was being that dumb.
Well, we can blame this and so many other things on my attention span.
Sounds like a plan. See, what you need to do is have some lot of fun when you take your recap note, or take your podcast notes, and, like, make a long recap, and then you don't miss anything.
No, I'm not doing that.
But it's a lot of fun.
No, I know that you're lying to me.
I would never.
No, because, like, you've told me the truth before, so...
I know, it's a nightmare. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah,
it's just really great for having the information at a later time and for not missing things. When you're pausing every 2 seconds. Speaking of, like, long recappy nonsense and paying attention to insane things that nobody else pays attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe that I counted the tick marks that we saw when Wynonna resets?
You? Really? Yeah.
I know.
I'd be willing to bet that you have a few screenshots of it. Oh, wait, no, the episode wasn't... Okay, only on the grounds that Amazon didn't have the episode.
Yeah, I don't have screenshots.
I believe you would have.
I would have. It would have made things easier. It would have been. However, I did count some. I was able to. We have at least 30 in the Shorty's reset. So she reset in Shorty's like 30 times.
That's a lot of
And then
death.
we had plus the one at the end. So we don't know how many times she reset that we didn't see it, like after she went through that cycle once. And then there were 38 tick marks in the homestead.
Okay.
So that's a lot of resets.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And we still had, like I said, there was still another reset to the homestead one more time that we saw. So it's significantly more than that because we know she started cycling through different parts of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, no wonder Wynonna was so tired, exhausted. But yeah, I just thought maybe there was somebody out there who might appreciate the fact that I am that person.
I do appreciate it.
Good.
I think, like, if Wynonna just, like, running headlong into her nightmare and, like, dying repeatedly isn't a metaphor for the way she, like, attacks life problems, I don't know. I don't know what is. Like, she even repeats several mistakes, like, several times. Like, we get the sense from Doc that she has continuously killed Bobo. And he's, like, sick of telling her, don't kill Bobo. But she, you know, like, she pushes confrontation. She uses force, and, you know, like, most comical, like, she immediately goes for the whiskey at Shorty's, and she gets shot. She immediately goes for the whiskey at the homestead, like, expecting a different result, and it's just spoiled. It's bad, and it's not supposed to be, you know, like, nothing about that place is comforting or anything like that. Like, she's not going to get a, you know, nice mouthful of decent whiskey.
I mean, honestly, one of the cruelest things Bolshar did to her was giving her whiskey that she couldn't drink.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
No, and I did like how after the first reset, when she walks in the bar and is, like, looking around, she's, like, flicking off the bar. She's walking around, like, in the bar, like, just middle fingers up, just, like, and then, you know, dodges the arrow and gets nailed by that dart. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, she needs Xena's, like, projectile catching abilities.
There you go, yeah.
That was, like, my first thought. I'm like, she needs to channel some Xena Warrior Princess.
Somebody have Wynonna roll for dexterity. Stat!
I was taking a drink!
That was only for you, my friend.
Oh my god. I'm keeping that, but...
Oh my god, you keep mine.
It was a great joke. But I was taking a drink that could have ended so poorly.
It was fine.
It was so great. Nerd.
I know.
Because me bringing up Xena every possible chance is not nerdy at all.
I mean, it's not your fault there are parallels.
I know, and it's not my fault. Xena's an excellent show that I love so very much.
True.
Also, like, kind of a little bit of Doc and Wynonna. I like that we got Doc telling Wynonna about being offered that deal by Bolshar and not taking it.
Yep.
I appreciated that a lot. And then him asking her to try one more time was just, again, shout out to Melanie for an amazing episode. Because, like, that moment, and then after she and too many men. After she and Doc celebrate defeating Bolshar, and then they reset, and just the breakdown that she has is it's so, like... There were aspects of this episode that were really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was one of them.
I feel you, and I'm going to raise you a way to go Tim, because he had to do everything with his voice. You know what I mean? Like, there were just tight shots on mainly his eyes, you know, like, so that was primarily what he had to work with. And then, and either way, it was just a projection of him. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't physically in the scene to, you know, like, occupy space. And, you know, like, when he started saying that he would never give up on Wynonna, that he would never give up on their daughter, and he started, like, choking up, that got to me. I got a little emotional over that one.
I am curious about how they filmed that. Like, I'm assuming he was off screen, like, reading his lines and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I am curious. I'm always curious about how they film stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
So I'd like to know, because you're 100% right. Tim in that, he did such a good job. And he usually, I mean, he does really well. And it's just, that was completely, I mean, you're right, his voice work.
Yeah, it was just a big handicap not to be able to, you know, like, and I thought he did really well.
And that poor man must have needed, like, 5 fucking showers.
Yeah.
After he would, like, or, just sit in a shower for like 2 hours long just to get all of that dirt and grime off. Like, that must have been awful to film.
Yeah.
I know, I'm looking at the look on your face and you're like, it was pretty terrible. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good, like, it's some of the problems with the loop and kind of a friend kind of said it got close to torture porny, and I don't necessarily agree that it got that far.
No, I wouldn't say it went that far, but
it's hard seeing your characters be beat down and 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 beat down. And they did such a good job, and I think it really helped kind of drive home what we were dealing with Bolshar. And I think, honestly,
I thought that's what you were going to say. It raised the stakes. Yeah.
It was really hard not to, it was really hard to be mad at Wynonna for giving Bolshar Peacemaker by the end of it.
Oh, yeah. I think Bolshar really gets at the core of, like, Wynonna's abandonment issues.
Yeah.
But both as the abandoned and the abandoner.
Yeah.
Which is a hell of a balance to strike. But it's a really menacing scene at the end, like when he's working Wynonna over by like preying on that loneliness, telling her she'll die alone, filtering in those sounds, of Waverly's desperate cries, and she's telling her that she dug the graves, but she can't remember any of it. I mean, the whole thing. That was probably the most villainous I've ever found Bolshar to be. That was probably, that's the most, like, freaked out by him I've ever been.
I think that's fair, because we did see, he tore her down. And
he really got in her head.
He broke Bobo down, too, but Bobo seemed a little having issues before now, anyway. So it was harder that was easier to reconcile, like Bobo being broken down, than it was for Wynonna. But this is the first time we have seen her break down like that. She let that fear and self-doubt win. It was just he beat her down and beat her down and beat her down. And, she does kind of, in a very Buffy way, she has the weight of the world on her shoulders.
Yeah.
And she has she got this offer to save her family that she has been trying so hard to save. And, nobody's perfect. Nobody makes the right decisions 100% of the time. So, yeah, it was frustrating as all get out, knowing that they were a minute away. They were 30 seconds away from her not giving away that gun.
Yeah.
But her giving away the gun 100% makes sense.
Yeah. And 30 seconds to her, how long did that feel? You know what I mean? Like, that was the other part that kept, like... That was the thing that I kept wondering about, like, was like, how much time does Wynonna think has passed? How long does it feel like she's been here? Because in reality, she's been missing for a few hours, probably, or half a day, or something like that.
And he even says you'll deal with like an infinity.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was that. Yeah, he tells her an infinity could pass before they know she's missing. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I think we're kind of looking at, kind of like how time passed extremely fast in that, like that hell dimension situation, actually multiple hell dimension situations we've seen in Buffy. Mm-hmm. It's a whole day is 100 years in this dimension. Yeah. Or, Angel got sent to one so. All
those kids too in the third season. They're the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
season.
About. The season, okay, the third season, and that's 100 years was a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't name seasons or episodes, and I should have. So we could very well be looking at that, especially, Wynonna felt like 2 minutes passed in the homestead after her first run with Bobo, and then Doc's like, actually, it's been a little bit longer, and that's when we see the tick marks, and there's like 30 there. Mm-hmm. So, like, we see the first homestead tick marks, and it's definitely, it's really hard to be mad at Wynonna, and I know Doc is mad at at the end of that episode when Doc, tells her, it's like, please don't tell me you gave up Wyatt's gun. She doesn't even have to say yes. It's just the look on her face, and she's I just want to hug her, man. Because
I
even at the
know.
end, she's just in such a bad place.
Yeah.
And, like, even Waverly tries to make her feel better by suggesting, like, oh, Bolshar cheated. And it's like, no. He just played the game better than she did.
Yeah.
Because, she's not a demon.
I do really, I mean, I always appreciate it when we end on the Earp sisters, but I especially appreciated it with this episode because it was so heavy and because they spent so much of it apart, so, I cherish that scene at the end, like, I love them, like, wearily laughing about how things can't get worse because they are worse, like, but, like, even though this is this really beautiful moment of them, like, kind of, like, coming back together, like, you can still see, like, the toll that this has taken on them. Like, it's not one of those episodes where we end and everything is okay. Even their laughter is kind of exhausted in this scene. And I bought that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I liked that they didn't, like, take us through this and then totally swing to the other end of the emotional spectrum, because I think that would have cheapened it. So I really appreciate that they didn't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, as if the number of times I said yeah while you were speaking didn't indicate that. Sorry. No, I agree. I really enjoyed that we ended on that Wynonna and Waverly scene, and I think Waverly's optimism here in that moment was really important and really necessary. She's there's still us, we still got this. So I think it was definitely an important scene, and we needed something with them, and we needed that moment. And I mean, just the shot of Waverly holding Wynonna right after she saves her, it's like, we needed that.
Yeah.
Because you're right, we have gotten a lot of them being separated lately.
Yeah.
I love my Earp sisters.
I do too. I did get a little emotional about Mercedes' face. Like, it's a good face, and she was just so happy, and she knew it was Waverly.
I know.
And, like, plus I've just always liked Mercedes, and, she never deserved to have her face ripped off.
No.
I don't think many people do, but yeah, that did kind of, that tugged at my heart a little bit. I was like, oh, dear face.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice, and it was, again, I think the episode really needed that, especially another well-edited moment and another well-written moment of the episode with Waverly, with them. It couldn't get worse than Waverly saying, this only hurts people, and then, no, Waverly, it does in fact do some good.
Yeah.
So, it was the way the episode needed to end.
Yeah. I also love Peacemaker, like, buzzing Wynonna awake.
Yes.
Or, like, alerting her to, like, kind of, well, at least, like, lifting the veil a little bit. Even if it did directly result in Bolshar, like, doubling down on his spell or trance or whatever. But I thought that was so cool.
I love it when Peacemaker does that.
Me too.
Because we've gotten Alarm Clock Peacemaker before, so I do love Peacemaker. And I would like it to, like, buzz itself right out of Bolshar's hands and just not let him pick it up. But I don't quite think that's going to happen.
I also like that the very first thing that Bolshar did, presumably after crawling out of that well, was go and procure himself another fur coat.
Bobo?
Yeah.
He was wearing a fur coat, wasn't he?
Yes. Only a fur coat, no shirt. But it was just, that's Bobo. This is a snazzy fur coat.
I realized that he was shirtless, but it didn't register that he was wearing a fur coat, and I don't know what that says about me.
Probably nothing.
I hope not.
Oh, God.
Panic! I had a couple more, like, minor favorite moments now that I've taken out some of my heavy stuff of my notes. I like how upset Nicole was about the ring showing up in her biscuits. Like, she's listing all of the bad things associated with this ring, and she, like, mentions it showing up in her biscuits.
I like that, too, and I think that's, like, one more, I guess, bigger thing that we need to cross off is, like, I know that Way Hot scene, like that opening scene stirred up like a mixed response in the fandom, but I for one thought it was hilarious. I didn't feel baited by the joke. I took it as a joke. Like, everyone is entitled to their own takes, but for me, I can't be queer baited by something that is canon queer to begin with. So, and we've had, I think we've had quite a bit of romance for Way Hot, and quite a few sweet moments. And I'll take more of it, but one joke doesn't detract from what we already have, in my opinion.
Yeah, the fake out was funny. I will say that. The fake out was funny.
I thought so.
And it's very clear that Dom and Kat went all out with it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it was kind of a little, like, awkward on a rewatch. I'm like, can people hear the TV? I do want to touch on the queer baiting thing as well a little bit and remind people, I guess I'm going to be a little bit harsher in this regard. If you think that what this show is doing with Nicole and Waverly is queer baiting, you don't understand what queer baiting is.
Yeah.
I do also have to say, though, on the flip side, along with that, anybody who I saw a couple of tweets because there were fans who are also people of color who have been talking about the rep in the show and being a little disappointed by some of the representation. I did see some queer fans jump on those fans and say, well, you're going to request, better representation for people of color, but you're going to excuse this Way Hot nonsense. And y'all, I'm sorry, but you can't do that. It's not the same.
No.
It is not the same. I will also say that I think there is an inequality. I think it could be argued that there is an inequality in what we have with Way Hot versus what we have had with Wynonna and any other man on the show. I think that happens a lot in media. Look at Grey's Anatomy and what they did with Callie and Arizona and their hookups that were, women. And I think in some arguments can be made, oh, that's a character thing. Like, they're different people. Waverly and Wynonna are not the same, so they're not going to have, their relationships aren't going to be portrayed the same. But I do, in some regards, think that there is an inequality, and I think that's a fair thing to call out. I think if you feel that, if you think that, maybe something's being unfair, but there are ways to do that without jumping on another underrepresented group.
Yeah.
And but the bottom line, it was funny. It was a funny fake out. I knew that's what they were doing. Like, you knew that's what they were doing.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
The second it came on. Yeah.
It was just too loud. You know what I mean? Like, not to be some sort of a joke. And I was laughing before the camera even got to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, it was obvious that they had fun with it.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that they were just kind of playing around, which is fine. Like, whatever. Like I said, it was funny. It was a little over the top.
I think it's supposed to be, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, please don't use that as an excuse to attack people who are also underrepresented groups, especially if, in this case, this isn't queer baiting. This is a canon couple. Canon couples aren't queer baiting.
Right.
So I will happily have a lengthy conversation with anybody who would like to talk to me about queer baiting. I would happily do that. I was a Swan Queen fan, and I also enjoyed Rizzles.
Oh my god, back in the day!
Yeah.
Oh, I had to give up that show, but yeah.
I dropped it after the showrunner blatantly admitted to using their queer fans, so.
I think I stopped watching in, season 2. But Rizzoli and Isles
no,
season
that's what
1,
I was talking,
that was my jam.
Yeah, I dropped Rizzoli and Isles then, and I probably should have dropped it earlier. Either way, this is not a Rizzoli and Isles podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
I derailed because sometimes I like to talk about queer baiting, and it's part of how I ended up at 4YE is talking about LGBTQ issues. So, I did want to mention that. So, yeah, don't be assholes. That's basically what it boils down to.
Nutshell.
If a person of color is saying, hey, this isn't feeling like great representation, and you're a white fan saying, hey, but what about me? Shut your face and maybe don't talk and listen. So.
I like that.
Thanks. I was going to write out something for all of that, but sometimes I'm better on the fly and it's more fun.
Follow your heart.
I will. Anyway, so yeah, we had that moment. And honestly, I mean, the episode needed levity wherever it could get it, so whatever.
Mm-hmm. Also, was that the first time that Wynonna admitted she loved Doc? Because she, like, whispered it, like, to his grave?
Yes. Maybe?
Because I feel like it's one of those things that, like, Waverly has been saying she loves him.
Oh, yeah, and
this
Doc has said it. Yeah.
And Doc has said it, but I don't think Wynonna's used that word.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I think that might have been the first time. I feel like we would have said it, we would have mentioned it. Then again, I get podcast goldfish memory, so I can't be necessarily relied on to remember stuff like that.
I mean, I need to. Yeah, but I feel like we'd remember. I don't know. Somebody can correct us.
I think you're right. I really think you're right. That's what that long-winded nonsense was. I think you're right.
Okay. We're going to go with that.
So, yeah, and if somebody wants to point out that we're wrong, then oh well. One more itty-bitty teeny thing. I enjoy the fact that Wynonna has the B&E kit, because of course she has a B&E kit, and the fact that Waverly was like, you weren't supposed to know about that. Mm-hmm. My bad. So.
This is kind of weird. I thought they used the jeweler Revenant very effectively. I think, you know, like, introducing him at the beginning, and he's going to get the ring off, and then you see him react to the ring, which in a weird way, and then as Waverly's leaving, he's like, no, I already have a buyer lined up, and she's like, what? Like, and then and then he shows up again, and, you know, attacks everybody, and, you know, that's how we get the truth behind what the ring can actually do to Revenants. So as far as, like, a little, like, you know, no big deal Revenant of the week, I thought they used him really well to tell the story of that ring, which he was gonna, you know, that they built Bullshar into it too. You know, he was the buyer. The guy was gonna use it to declare his fealty to Bullshar. So it was nicely, you know, sort of worked out for such a small subplot.
Yeah, I think, I agree. Also, Lost Girl fans will recognize that actor because he played one of the Light Fae in an episode.
Ah.
He was the Shen that, who worked in the morgue.
Oh!
Eddie, maybe?
Wait, wasn't the person who worked in the morgue, didn't he, like, eat people?
No, yeah, he got it. Yeah, he did, hold on. He was a body snatcher. Remember, the body jumper dude.
I do remember the body jumper. I think they also had a morgue attendant who was, like, a cannibal.
They did, but I think that was the Dark Fae guy. This was the Light Fae
that
guy.
was. Okay, yes, okay.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, he was in an episode. That was
nice.
all just to say. He was in an episode of Lost Girl in season 1. So, you're welcome to Lost Girl fans wondering, where did I see that guy before? And who couldn't place him? Because for some people, it takes a minute. I know that. I had one more thing. Okay. I saw a tweet that was very upsetting. I don't even follow this person, but, you know, it popped up on my timeline somehow. Beer and Crossroads at Crossword Nerd 13 pointed out that Doc is under the house like when his mother was dying. So not only was he being buried alive, but he got to re-experience that childhood trauma. So thanks, Bullshar, and thanks to the fan who pointed that out.
Ouch, everybody.
It's really, really upsetting. So, that's pretty much all my notes. So, that means you want to go on to quotes?
Quotes!
Yay!
I'll start. You
Okay.
Wonder Woman punched a zombie witch across a room.
I have the rest of that as well. So the
Take it away.
boy, not yeah boy, no girl. That ring came off a withered, chopped off demon arm. It turned a face ripping witch into the mother of dragons, and it burnt Doc's finger. And it turned up in my biscuits. I just really love Nicole being that upset about her biscuits.
It was really good.
Uh-huh.
You already mentioned the B&E kit. I really like that. Yeah, check the barn for the big bolt cutters from Wynonna's B&E toolkit that I wasn't supposed to tell you about.
Yeah. And you gotta love some innuendo, so, try not to touch anything. Not even you? Oh no. When we get that thing off, we get off. Oh, Nicole. And Wynonna, then you better turn on incognito browsing because it's NSFW in here.
I had that one too. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
I love, we're all about challenging gender norms. And then I also really like that, haha, she jokes when she's ovulating. Dude, no!
Yeah, the jeweler was so gross.
Yeah, he was really nasty.
His character in Lost Girl was really terrible too. Was really gross too. That's unfortunate typecasting.
Poor guy.
Anyway. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. Bad experience with losing appendages. That is on the same hand that was cut off last season.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just bad experience with losing appendages, bad experience with that hand.
Wynonna, when she woke up in the basement of the bar, usually when you wake up in a strange room, you've got to spend a whole day in a walk-in clinic after. That was pretty funny.
That was terrible. Great pep talk, but I'm like metal. The more you hit it, the stronger it gets. And I'm shiny and dense. Holy crap, I did learn stuff in high school.
I did really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mercedes. Are you two just gonna stand there like a couple of dildos?
Yeah. I liked Mercedes, my douchepecker brother, may he rest in hell, and Nicole saying, still might be too good for Tucker. And again, another Mercedes. Hey, do you guys know why there was bloody sheets and all those sex toys on my bed? There's been an uninvited guest. Oh, whatever. Squatter's got a squat. Maybe that's why she was able to use the thing. Mercedes just didn't care.
Maybe, yeah. I liked Mercedes. Well, goody for her. My face still looks like a goddamn charcuterie board.
Yeah. Oh, that was rough. Wynonna, I hope I don't get killed by eating too much delicious popcorn. Hot, my ass is hot. Well, if you're looking for validation, I will not disagree. From Doc.
Your sex life is either about to get very good or very, very bad, and girl, put a mitt on it. Maybe my favorite of the episode. Yeah, I don't know.
It was so great.
It was really good.
I liked Wynonna yelling, "That's not where that goes, Bolshar," when she walks into the homestead. It was one of the moments that we did. I mean, we did get a few moments of levity in that hallucination, but yeah, I just really liked that one. And when she walks out of the homestead later, no sudden T-Rex attack, no flaming hot hailstorm, no forcing me to watch golf. Good.
I like it when she was like, Bolshar showed up with some kind of red Narnia door. I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but I did.
It was good. I also, when Doc asked, how did you defeat Bobo? And I want to say boobs, but I'm just so tired.
I really liked, I thought it was messed up, but I really liked Bolshar's, I liked two of Bolshar's lines. I liked it when he just started laughing and said, "You're such fun." And then I also really liked his, "I give you my word, and I keep my word just as I keep my curses."
Yeah, that was good. Sorry, I have to clear some of the notes I took just for the sake of notes, not for quotes for quote stuff. And we talked about that scene with Wynonna and Waverly, basically that entire scene.
Yeah.
I'm cheating at saying that entire scene at the end.
It was really awesome.
I mean, I typed up the entire thing, but nobody needs me to repeat it. And, are you out or do you have any more?
I'm out.
Damn. I just had one more.
Oh, it's close.
I know! Yeah, I just had Mercedes saying, "Waverly Earp, you sweet little lesbian. You did it. You healed me." I just liked that. It was kind of a nice... Yeah, it was a nice way to end.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. I mean, that kind of does it for me.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't thought of anything else to mention. Sometimes I do when I'm editing and then I get sad. I'm like, this would have been great!
Dang it.
But it was kind of a weird episode, and it was very, like, hard to, you kind of there was a lot of things to kind of get a handle on, just, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Pace and everything was just totally different for this, so...
Yeah. And we've only got 3 more episodes left of the season.
Truth.
So... Anna Silk next week, which I'm looking forward to.
Me too.
Well, technically this week, since we get to talk about it next week, but technically it happens this week, so. Podcasting! Alrighty, well, thank you everybody for listening, and if you haven't checked out my recap, I tried to sum this up succinctly, and I think I did it all right this week. And if you're interested in reading it, you can check it out on the Make Your Peace Twitter, which is at 4YE_MYP podcast. You can check it out on the 4YE Twitter at 4_Y_E to see when it goes up every week, since I'm always a little late with a retweet. Or you could also go directly to the site at 4ye.co.uk, and that is the number 4 for all of those. You can find me on Twitter at cmeushaw, that's at CMEUSHAW. And where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RSMayfair.
Alrighty. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Look forward to hearing your thoughts or theories, because I think this might have, prompted some. That's the word. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the word I'm going with. So it's late. I'm tired. We're done. No. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye, guys.